It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels.
Hello, good evening, chat. How's everybody? What's happening? What is happening? Just turn this light a tiny bit. There we go. Well, let me put on some music. People are asking when the Army List show is coming back. I think next Sunday night. They're going to get one more game under my belt before I bring the Army List show back. We'll start with some dry brushing on some bases, and then I'm going to work on my command squad. I'm going to play the command squad again this week, I think. Greetings Todd, greetings Podgar, Michael, what's happening? It's been a good weekend, thanks. I hope you guys have a good weekend too. Sometimes the weekends go too fast, don't they? I was making a list actually, like, I work on this YouTube channel to the neglect of like all my other social stuff. I guess I work on Warhammer, so I probably used to balance like Warhammer and video games, and since I started working on YouTube, I basically neglect all the video games I have. So I was making a list earlier, and there's like, I've got like 10 video games I'm in the middle of. I make no progress on them every weekend. So I played like an hour of Diablo 4 earlier today. I'm not sold on Diablo 4 yet, you know that? It's fine. I don't know if it's as good as the old Diablo games. So, yeah, I had a good weekend, thanks for asking. It was nice weather here, got a walk in with the kids, that sort of stuff. Mike's off to his local store. Thanks for hitting the like button, Mike, before you leave. Appreciate it. Have fun at your local store. Sunday night's always a good time to go to the local store in it for a game. I like Sunday nights. That's why we usually do the Army List on Sunday nights. It's usually just quite a chill thing for me to do on a Sunday night. Would you recommend Primaris Intercessors Tactical Marines as a troop choice? Well, that's a good question. I haven't run Tactical Marines in a long time. I kind of thought that, like, do you know what? Just because you can only run them in 10 mans, I probably wouldn't recommend Tacticals. Because I think sometimes you want just 5-man squads. Troops don't really do a whole lot of killing. I feel like troops are there to perform actions, hold objectives. Like, they're not a killing unit. So I don't know what the advantage of having a 10-man tactical squad over like a 5-man intercessor squad. I actually don't know if there's much. Like, I don't know if I see much advantage in that. What class am I doing? I've been doing 2 actually. I've been doing Druid? Yeah, Druid's my main class, I guess, in Diablo 4. I've been playing a little bit of a Barbarian when I play with my wife. My wife's been playing Necromancer, but we're like even further behind. Like, my Druid's only like level 38 or something. I feel like everybody else who's been playing Diablo is like way into their like 70s and 80s. I was playing with Bainesy, he's a YouTube channel member. Well, I wasn't playing with him, I saw him online, he's like level 72, and I'm like, apparently I just suck. Well, I don't get enough free time, man. I could play more video games, but then it would mean like I neglect my kids, and the kids want to go on the swings and stuff like that. You know what it's like, I'm sure. So, yeah. Kids, YouTube channel, all the 40k to paint. Doesn't leave a lot of time for video games, that's for sure. Tactical squad doesn't seem worth the point, says one. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, tactical squad. Mike wants to run a 10-man squad of intercessors. I think the only time I would run the 10-man squad of intercessors, Mike, is if you're going to do the trick with the tech marine, because I think that's kind of neat. And I mean, I do like the sticky objectives of intercessors. I mean, that was strong last edition. It's probably still pretty strong, right? What's up, Reziel? I figured out today that it feels like every day I'm figuring something out. I think it was like yesterday or whatnot we figured out the tech marine trick, which I think is pretty cool. But today I figured out that you can get devastating wounds on multi-meltas for marines. It's very limited what multi-meltas can get it, but you can do it. Oh, the trick with the tech marine. Mass Prophet, thank you so much, dude. The trick with the tech marine is that the tech marine can join to a squad of intercessors, and then the tech marine can be joined by, technically, rules as written, 3 squads of servitors. So you have a tech marine with 10 intercessors in a squad, and then 12 servitors, and for every 2 servitors, so you can take 6 servitors with multi-meltas. Because they're joined with a tech marine, they get +1 to their ballistic skill. Because multi-meltas are heavy now, they hit on 2s. So potentially you can have the tech marine accompanied by 6 servitors with multi-meltas that hit on 2s. And whenever the opponent targets the unit, you would just take all the wounds on the intercessors, sorry. Yeah, that's the one. So basically you wouldn't have to take any of the wounds on the servitors. So you know, they've got 20 wounds of intercessors to chew through before they can do damage to the servitors. That might get errated because it seems like it's probably not intended. But I feel like it's so obscure that probably no one's going to do it. No one's going to do it except, like, I don't know anyone that has 12 servitors. I actually looked to see how many I have. I only have 4. I think I have metal servitors. Do you remember a long time ago when the tech marine plus metal servitors came in a box? It was like a tech marine plus servitors in one box. That's the box of servitors I have. That box probably 15 years old at this point. But yeah, I like the idea. So I think it's you attach the Primaris Chaplain on a bike to a squad of Outriders, because he makes the Chaplain, I think, makes them the ranged weapons do devastating wounds, and then you can attach an ATV for whatever that's worth with a multi-melta. So you could have devastating wounds multi-meltas or marines, but it's just like one of them. Can we talk about the rapid ingress? With a drop pod? Huh. I mean, we can talk about a rapid ingress with a drop pod. That's what I was saying. Like, every day it feels like there's a new combo that comes along that I don't know about. Mass Prophet, thanks so much for the $4.99. Do really appreciate it. I'm glad to help that I can get you through your night shifts. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about rapid ingressing drop pod. What are you putting in the drop pod, Andrew? That sounds like a cool idea. For all the people that have talked about rapid ingress, I hadn't heard anyone talk about the drop pod. Could that technically arrive? Your opponent went first, but you could arrive your drop pod in their first turn via rapid ingress with the 1 CP that you have at that point in the game? That's pretty interesting, actually. Gregory, good evening. No, I just started 5 minutes ago. Gregory, you're not late, man. How are you? That's me got, well, like, once I quickly spray these with a tiny bit of varnish, I mean, I guess that's me got the ability to run 6 Inceptors. I was thinking of running some Inceptors. I have a squad of Bolter Inceptors, I have a squad of Plasma Inceptors. I hadn't chosen what one to run, I might even run both. Interesting, the Primaris Chaplain no longer has Primaris in his name, and he can be attached to Outriders or normal bikes. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're just... I feel like they're sort of pseudo doing away with the Primaris keyword. Like, there'll be a new Chaplain, and they just won't necessarily call him... Sorry, there'll be a new Captain on a bike. The old Captain on the bike will be gone. We'll get a Primaris Captain on a bike, and then 3 years down the line, they'll drop the Primaris out of his name because it's irrelevant anymore. So when are you going to get a game of 2 of boarding actions? That is a good question, actually, Mike. It's funny that the boarding actions terrain finally turned up the week of like 10th edition getting finished. That's just I mean, it was a lot of terrain, Mike, so it was just the way it all worked out, right? But like, we've got the terrain now. The terrain is in the office where we play 40k every week, so I mean, we will get some games of boarding actions on the channel for sure. Just I don't exactly know when. Happy Traitor Day. Is it the 4th of July today? Honestly, we don't really do 4th of July here in the UK, so I didn't even realise it was 4th of July. And hey, I'm Scottish. We're still trying to get our independence from England, so technically, one day, hopefully in the not too distant future, I'll be able to celebrate Independence Day with you all that celebrate it. Because unfortunately, for whatever reason, Scotland is still part of the Union. I'm not a fan of the Union, if you didn't know that. We'll leave it at that. It'll turn into like a 90-minute political rant, so none of you want to hear that. You could drop pod turn 1 with rapid ingress in your opponent's turn 1. Yeah, I mean, that's a cool idea. I just don't know what you put inside the drop pod. Evening, John, how are you? Evening, Jim. Evening, Sang. Thank you. It's nice to see all the green names appear in chat. How are you guys? I'm going to be running Tycho with my command squad. That's what I was painting the other night on stream. That's what I'm going to go and paint as soon as I finish dry brushing these bases, which I pretty much have done already. So, yeah, I started them last night. I really wanted to annoy Kev. Kev gets very annoyed about silly rules, and one of the silly rules that's going on right now is the fact that the company veterans with las cannons are allowed storm shields. And he said to me, John, where on earth are you going to stick the storm shields on the company veterans? And I said, I thought they would wear them like a sombrero, just to really annoy him. I actually don't know where I'm going to stick the storm shields on these guys. But I mean, the reason I said I said to him, I'm going to stick them on as a sombrero. That way, they'll be useful when I'm targeted by indirect fire. That's more funny. I don't know. Sometimes I crack myself up. Evening, Campbell. How are you? John won his first game of 10th today. He's high on life. Congrats, John. Well done. How do we feel about grab cannon devastators? I get grab cannons are good. They're 2-up anti-vehicle rule. I don't really own any grab cannon devastators. I probably have a bunch of grab cannons on sprues, but you know, everybody's running around. It's the start of the new edition. Everyone's running around trying to get like some sort of meta squad together, however you want to call it. This is going to be my meta squad. This is my weird squad. This is my company veterans plus Tycho. Um, my wife wants to visit Scotland. Well, yeah, do drop by. You know it's wet in Scotland, right? Most of the time. Even in the summer, like today we had like 3 rainstorms, maybe 4 actually. Yeah, maybe 4 rainstorms today. Like it was a lovely day, and then instantly it's just like pissing it down with rain. I mean, yeah, storm shields over their heads would keep the rain off as well. Congrats on getting your hand on the Leviathan box, Sang. What unit are you most excited about from the Leviathan box? Because I haven't made any of my models out of the Leviathan box yet. I feel like it's probably going to be the Dreadnoughts that I make first. I feel like I just need to take a day. I need a kid-free day. I need my mum to do some babysitting for me and give me a kid-free day, and I'm just going to build like 2 Brutalis Dreadnoughts and 2 Ballistus Dreadnoughts. I felt like those Dreadnoughts are really expensive at the moment though, right? Like, when you've got Armigers that are just 140 points, the Redemptor feels real expensive at 225 for a Redemptor. Are Armigers too cheap? I mean, Armigers seem really good now, like toughness 10 Armigers, man. Wolfgar says, evening folks, my first game of 10th was interesting. My Centurions were the star of the show, but I still lost 75 to 52. So much shooting from my friend. He was playing guard. Yeah, I mean, I've heard things about guard. Was he running a lot of indirect fire, or it was just so much shooting? This is why, like, it's... I think there's going to be a little bit of a teething... I don't know if I would say it's a teething problem, but I think there's going to be a bit of teething time for Blood Angels, or at least I'm feeling a bit of a teething time. Like, I need to figure out what's really good and like what I need to run. So I'm going to be building a list to fight knights again. I'm going to say I'm probably going to be building a list like tomorrow or Tuesday night. And I'll probably try a bunch of things I've not tried yet, just so that I get a feeling for more and more units. But yeah, I feel like there's definitely a bit of teething time for me figuring out what I want to do this edition. Sam says, hi. Part built my Leviathan Marines today. The captain was attached to a Terminator squad. Do you think I can get away with dropping a Stormbolter for a shield? Is the +1 to wound worth it now? I mean, it's a very good question, right? Like, I was thinking about that with my captain just the other day, because, like, most of my captains were built with well, I have multiple captains built with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields. Because, you know, back in the day you wanted the Storm Shield, I think, because it gave you a better... I'm actually trying to remember. Yeah, I think it gave you a better save in 2nd edition. Or, not 2nd edition, 8th edition. If you had a Storm Shield on a captain, you got a better save. I think you got a 2-up save, whereas normal save was like 3-up. So, yeah, all my captains are built with, like, Storm Shields and Thunderhammers. I've got 2 captains built like that. I think I've got 1 built with a Storm Shield and an Infernal Pistol and a Thunderhammer. And yeah, I think it is a good question, right? Like, the captain can't take damage really until the squad's dead now. I mean, I guess, like, there is the odd thing where, like, the opponent could have precision or something like that, but for the I haven't seen anyone really running precision yet. I've only played a few games, so maybe precision is going to be more common than I've seen so far. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's why I haven't rushed out and, like, ripped off the Storm Shields off my captains, because +1 wound on a character is still useful. You know, like, there are people running around with, like, we're starting to see, like, a bunch of Vindicator Assassins. Well, Vindicator Assassins are good at sniping characters, right? So, you could say, like, if a sniper rifle shot comes in, that's going to do, like, devastating wounds or auto wounds, then maybe having an extra wound is worth it. But I mean, there is an argument on those captains to just be like, yeah, or like you could argue that you just want a combi. Well, I was going to say a combi melt. I guess you can't have a combi melt anymore, but you can have a combi weapon, I suppose. So yeah, you could take a combi weapon, or you could just hold on to the shield. I think it's hard to say what is best until the if the meta normalizes itself and everybody is running Vindicator Assassins because they're very good at just sniping out characters, and I guess if you snipe out a character, you potentially make that squad weaker, then yeah, I guess you probably do want the shield with extra wound on it, right? If not that many, like if we get into the edition and it turns out not that many people are doing that, or they nerf that and it's not that strong or whatever, then maybe you don't want the shield. So it's a hard question. I don't know if I can specifically say yes, you definitely want a relic shield. They don't call them storm shields anymore, right? Or do they? I thought they were calling them relic shields and it's just +1 to wound. Sorry, not +1 to wound, +1 wound, right? But yeah, I mean, good question. That's why I've it's like one of the main, I don't know. Yeah, so anyway, we'll bring back the army list show next Sunday night. Full disclaimer, I don't know if I'm qualified to speak about army lists yet, but regardless, we'll bring the show back because I think people are... why not prime your models Mephisto in red? I usually do prime them Mephisto in red, but then I use Evil Sun Scarlet. The reason I use Evil Sun Scarlet was if you go back 20 years, before Mephisto in red was a colour, there was another colour by Games Workshop called Blood Red, and Blood Red is basically what Evil Sun Scarlet is. So if you go back 20 years to when I first started Warhammer, there was no Mephisto in red, it was Blood Red, and half my army is painted in Blood Red, and I like everything to match. So that's why I use Blood Red and not Evil Sun Scarlet. Sorry, that's why I use Evil Sun Scarlet and not Mephisto in red, because it matches what I've always done. I think if the Storm Shield took it from 6 to 7 wounds, I would have liked the captain a lot more. Yeah, I mean, having an odd number would have helped a lot, actually. Yeah, you're right, because then it would have made him more better. One more wound would have made him better against like damage 3 and damage 2 weapons. So yeah, you'd probably make a good point, Turkey. I was going to say there's no one that can attach to a Terminator squad to give them a feel no pain, right? Or is there something that can attach to a Terminator squad to give them feel no pain? Or there's not? Like, you're just not going to have a feel no pain. I mean, you can have a feel no... I was going to say, not with the captain attached as well, I guess, right? Dante and SG are a huge disappointment, says Daniel. Lost them to 6 Blade Guard veterans despite -1 to hit and wound. And the Sanguinar. In 8th edition, the Storm Shield was a 3-up invuln. That's what it was. Good memory, dude. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, that's why you wanted the Storm Shield in 8th edition, because you got a 3-up invulnerable save. It didn't help your normal save at all. So you had a 3-up save, but you also had the 3-up invuln. Yeah, that's why Smash Captains were like 120 points in 8th, man. It was so good. And they could fight twice. I remember killing... Andrew had like an Iron Hands Astraeus. I think it was the Astraeus. Yeah, I think it was the Iron Hands Astraeus, which had like 30 wounds on toughness 8, and it had those special shields, whatever they were called. The shields that absorbed a bunch of damage, I forget what they were called. Someone in chat will remember what the shields on the Astraeus were called. But I remember killing an Astraeus from full health in one round of combat with a 120 point Smash Captain, because you could make it that he couldn't be overwatched. He had a 4 damage hammer. He could get like 13 attacks, and then you could pay the 2 CP to fight again with Honor the Chapter. You actually had like 26 odd attacks, and I can't remember if you could get rerolls on him in 8th edition. I think he hit on 3s and his aura let him reroll 1s. So I think it was like hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, 13 attacks. yeah, it would only wound on maybe like 3s into a Astraeus, but it was just everything was 4 damage because the way you could get the hammer powered up. Oh man, it was sick. I mean, the game was kind of silly then, in that like the Smash Captain could kill anything, like a 500-point tank in one turn for a 129-point character. You just, as Blood Angels, you just wanted to run a few of them because it was like each one was like they were literally a nuclear missile. Just run in and kill anything you wanted. I definitely had lists that ran like 2 of them. It was good fun. John says the Ballistus did work for him today. Star of the show was a Vindicator plus a Landspeeder. Don't know if the Death Guard player expected to be picking up his Great Unclean One turn 1. Wow. The Landspeeder giving the Vindicator +1 to hit and ignore cover and something else. Maybe it was just... Is it just +1 to hit and ignore cover that Landspeeder gives? What's the strength on the Vindicator cannon again? Clunky Trek says the brighter red definitely has charm. Yeah, I mean, I like the brighter red, and I don't do any edge highlighting on my red models. So the brighter red basically just means that I just Agrax Earthshade them afterwards, after like I've painted them red, and then that's me kind of done. It still takes me ages to finish stuff. I'm like the slowest painter known to man, but I do sort of like the classic brighter red feeling. If you wash Evil Sun Scarlet with Agrax, it does give you a fairly nice grimdark tone without really trying. So I've just stuck with it. I like it. Yeah, what is the strength on a Vindicator's main cannon? Maybe I need to run a Vindicator against the Knights this weekend. Not this weekend, on Wednesday night. I'm playing Knights again on Wednesday. I got beat by Knights last week. James Richard, good evening. Miguel, the Terminator Chaplain gives the feel no pain. Alright, so the Terminator Chaplain gives the feel no pain, but you can't run Void Shields, that's right, Mike. Yeah, that's what we used to call him, Slamginius, didn't we? My 8th edition list was bonkers, man. It was just like, I think I had Rapier laser... No, not Rapier carriers, Thunderfire cannons, and then like, so I had a little bit of indirect, and then it was just like bonker Smash Captains and big squads of Death Company, big squads of Sangre Guard. It was absolutely bonkers. The thing I didn't like about 8th edition was I didn't like the scoring, like the open war, tactical, objective type thing that they had going on in 8th edition. I didn't think it was very good. David says, David Stewart, cool last name, David. It's the same as mine, and it's spelt the same. Welcome to 40k, and welcome to Blood Angels. Hopefully you will hit the subscribe button, David. I do appreciate you. Thanks for coming and checking out the channel. Strength 14, alright. Would you, So I played last week, John Henderson. I played last week, I played the, what's it called? The Storm Speeder Thunderstrike. The Thunderstrike is the Storm Speeder. Whenever its special ability is when it hits a monster or vehicle, you get +1 to wound for everything else in your army that shoots that monster and vehicle. So like I used it on Great Unclean Ones and stuff. So you shoot the Great Unclean One, or you shoot, like, I guess you shoot a Knight or something with the Storm Speeder, then your whole army gets +1 to wound. I liked the Storm Speeder, I thought it was cool. It definitely made shooting feel a lot more reliable after that, like even if you're shooting like non-Oath of Moment targets. So I liked the Storm Speeder Thunderstrike. I think it's a decent unit. Do you think having one would benefit your Vindicator, or you think you felt like at Strength 14 the Vindicator didn't care? Because I guess the Vindicator is like 205 points, right? And a Storm Speeder Thunderstrike is like I actually don't know how many points the Thunderstrike is, but I think it must be like 130. What's the... I can't open the app right now because the app is running on my phone. Someone tell me the points of the Stormspeeder Thunderstrike. Like, I thought it was worthwhile. Like, I did enjoy it, having it in my list. Like, if you're shooting things with, like, your Desolation Marines, their missiles only strength 10, their indirects only strength 4. So having +1 to wound felt really good for them, for their shooting anyway. I did notice last week I forgot to run any incursors, so I could have, if I'd shot with my incursors, I could have had +1 to hit and +1 to wound, which I think would be very cool. It's 160 points? Is it as much as that? Oh. Well, maybe it's not as good as I thought it was. My apothecaries are painted like Corbulo, red armour with a white trim, but I can't decide whether to paint the biologist similar and go for white. I think the biologist is quite striking in the white pose, Nathan. I guess the question is, how much do you like painting white? Because I did a squad of stormtroopers for a Star Wars game, and they were all white. And the thing about white is, like, sometimes it can be very hard to get the white tone to, like, basically look like non-chalky. Depends on your white paint, I guess. If you've got high quality white paint, maybe it's worth doing. If you struggle with your white paint, maybe it's worth avoiding. Ever thought about picking up a free blade knight? So I ran knights to tournaments in 9th edition, actually. I ran 3 armigers to a tournament. I borrowed Gav, because Gav has a knight list, and I think I was going to say, well, we know Miles has a knight list, he's burned on the channel a few times, but no, I borrowed a couple of Gav's knights for a tournament, and I have thought about picking up my knight for myself. It's just like, I said at the start of this stream, like, I put quite a lot of time into making YouTube videos every week. So I don't, and I was actually saying to my wife, like, before I had kids, I had like I have a table. Do you know what? It's in this room. I can show you. It's like a lap desk table thing. So it was like a table that you basically open out and you can use while you're sitting at the couch or sitting on the couch. It's called like a lap desk. You know, like I'll show you. It's right here. So I used to have this set up in my living room, and it just opens like this. I was going to say I can't get the other side, right? So it would open like that, and it would just sit over your lap. So I had this, and you can tell that I painted on it. Look at the state of it. It's covered in paint, right? So this, I used to have this just sitting in my living room. So I used to just hobby in my living room all the time. Like, my wife would watch some, I always call it drivel on Netflix, because I don't really watch. We have Netflix, but I don't ever watch anything on Netflix. It's 160 points for this Stormspeeder, man. Really? So I used to have that lap desk set up in my living room, and I used to just paint like every night, a couple hours every night, and get loads done. But ever since I've had the thing was that I used to just leave it set up in the living room, right? Because I didn't have like a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old running around my house. Ever since I've had kids, I've basically had to put the lap desk away, so it's actually like made it a lot more difficult. I have to be up here on my own to do hobby stuff, I guess. So well, I do want a knight, I just don't know where to find the time for it, because I struggle to get all the Blood Angel stuff that I've got done, honestly. I guess, like, I don't know at what age my kids can be trusted to not mess with stuff on the lap desk, and then I can just leave it set up all the time again. That's the dream. That's the dream I'm looking for. Once you learn that painting white is like painting grey, it gets a lot easier, says Mr. Snakecake. I've heard of the titanium white paint, actually. What brand is titanium white? Mike says pay him to paint a knight. Yeah, I mean, if I was gonna do a free blade knight, I'd want to get that conversion kit. I don't know if you guys have seen the conversion kit, but there's a conversion kit for like a free blade knight that converts it into like a like it's a different head, and it's like different shoulder pieces, and it's all like Blood Angels, and it's like a third-party kit, but it looks dope. So like if I wanted to do a Free Blade Knight, I'd want to buy the conversion kit. I mean, Knights are hot shit right now. Like, Knights are so good. They're winning the 10th edition tournaments. I think Games Workshop are probably going to have to put them up in costs in terms of points. I guess we'll see. But yeah, right now I can understand why you would want to get a Knight. Does anyone know what colour Blood Angels paint their Regressor helms? So I painted mine red, but there's a good argument that they're like close support, right? Because the longest gun they have, I guess. I think their bolters is like 18 inches. So I think there's an argument that, like, I painted my close combat Centurions yellow. I put their heads yellow. So I think there could be an argument for so Foz says this is a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. Alright, Foz, I've only got 3.5 more years before I can set my lap desk up again. Then it'll be happy days. Then I'll get back to hobbying so much more. Aggressors of blue helmets, says Mike. They're counted as fire support. Really? With power fists and flamers? Okay. I painted mine red. I usually try and paint the helmets the right colours, but sometimes I just go a bit random and just, like, I painted Infiltrator helmets black because I saw someone had painted their Infiltrators black and I thought it looked cool. And I felt like the Infiltrator heads kind of looked like they were like, you know, they got those little aerials on them like they're denying something for the deep strike, so I was like, do you know what, I like that, I'm going to do that. But yeah, okay. Aggressors of blue helmets, I wouldn't have known that. I would have painted them yellow. If you'd asked me, I'd have painted them yellow. Did anyone paint them yellow, or am I the only idiot? Professional acrylic ink is what we're looking for. Okay. Next time I have to do a squad of white guys, I'll maybe try that out. Because I think when I painted those stormtroopers, I think I used Korax white, and I hate the Games Workshop white, man. It's like my least favourite paint that Games Workshop make. I genuinely avoid it if I can. The Combat Patrol has them blue on the box. Okay. Well, there you go. Aggressors should have blue helmets, apparently. I would not have guessed that. I think I probably painted mine red because I wasn't sure what colour they were supposed to be. Oh well, I definitely wasn't sure. I would have been wrong. Lee painted his in yellow. Lee, you're champion. That's what I would have done if I had to do it over again. Mike says that the helmet colours are relic from 2nd edition, when we painted armies much lower quality, and they added other colours to vary the red. You know, you're probably right, Mike. You are probably right. James doesn't play helmets yellow or blue. That's fair enough. I'm trying to think. I think I painted my Inceptor helmets blue. But then I painted some of my Inceptors gold. Because reasons. And I gave some of them Sanguinary Guard wings because reasons. There's a few times I've bought Sanguinary Guard boxes just to get more wings, just to do some random stuff. And the Inceptors to me were one of those reasons. Steven says my entire army has yellow helmets now after seeing. I assume after you're saying after you saw my incursors, you liked them so much that you painted your entire army's heads yellow. That's high praise, Steven. If that's true, that's very cool, man. My paint jobs don't inspire many people, but if they've inspired you, then thank you. Thanks for sharing that, it's very cool. DTM, good evening, how are you? If I was going for a combined arms approach, says Aiden, would MSU of aggressors or blade guard work? So I have no... I was going to say, I have no recent experience of running MSU aggressors. By the end of 9th edition, I had a lot of experience at the end of 9th edition running MSU Blade Guard. And Blade Guard have gone down in points since then, right? I mean, arguably I would say they're probably a little less survivable in shooting, but a little bit more survivable in melee, and you're probably going to have them in melee just as much, if not more, than you're shooting them. So I really like the MSU squad of Blade Guard. I haven't run it yet in 9th edition, but I was thinking of running some Blade Guard. The problem is I know I'm playing against Knights, and I feel like I need to try and win a game, because apparently all I've done in 10th edition so far is lose games. And Knights are like a conundrum, and Blade Guard only have strength 5 weaponry, so they're not exactly great against Knights. But yeah, I do feel like Blade Guard are kind of on top of my list as one of the units I want to play or try next. And I like them at 100 points for 3. I think that there's some work that, especially I suppose with like the change of objectives and stuff, you know, you can do behind enemy lines with any size unit. You can do engage on all fronts with any size unit. So a little squad of Blade Guard like that could do a bit of work if they're well positioned. And I mean, they were good. They were good enough in melee before, I feel like. So yeah. I mean, I like Blade Guard. I have experience running them MSU, and I would do that. I have no experience running aggressors MSU recently. I'll just be worried, Mike says, if people start putting incursor heads on Terminators. Do you know what? Once somebody does that, Mike, then I guess my job will be complete in terms of corrupting people, because I actually like the Terminator. I put another Primaris head on another Terminator after I did it the first time, because I was like, doesn't make a lot of sense. I liked it. And hey, it's my army. If I like it, I'm allowed to make it the way I want to make it, right? Sorry, did I say good evening to you two, Scoops? How are you? Gaming Stuka says, quick question. I've been looking at both the Space Wolves and Blood Angels indexes in Warhammer community, and I can't seem to find Captain, Librarian, Chaplain. I can't seem to find Captain, Librarian, Chaplain, and other units. All the generic guys will be in the Space Marine Codex. I think that's your question, Gaming Stuka. It's like captains, librarians, incursors, redemptors, all the sort of generic Space Marine models. They're in the Space Marine Codex. You won't find them in the Blood Angels one. So if you're going to buy the cards online, which I probably don't recommend, there's a link to be able to get like printable cards over on my community page. If you're gonna buy the cards online, you can't just get away with like buying the Blood Angels cards. You would need to buy the Blood Angels and the Space Marine cards. And that's why I didn't buy them, actually, because I went on the morning they were up for pre-order and added them both to my basket, and I was like, man, £25 for cards? I mean, I guess that's fine, but like, £25? I was thinking to myself, like, I got a printer at home, I'm not going to need all the... There's a lot of Space Marine cards I'm not going to need, right? Because there's like a lot... You know, there's still probably a lot of Space Marine units I want field. So I didn't buy them. I just thought that was a little bit too expensive. Once I figure out my army list, I'll just print out the 10 cards I need. I've got a fairly decent inkjet printer. But I mean, you can probably buy an inkjet printer for like 30 or 40 pounds, and then you could just print out the cards you need, and then guess what? Afterwards, you've got a whole printer left. Yeah, so I didn't buy the cards. You'd need 2 indexes to run the army. You would indeed. But you only need the... You would need 2 indexes to get the data sheets, but you'd only need like the... You either run the Gladiators Task Force or the Blood Angels, Sons of Sanguinius. You don't need the other one. And again, those are... I've got little booklets here, I'll show you. There's a link on my community tab to just print out a little booklet. It's like 2 pages, that's the whole thing. Just print it out. It's got everything you need on there for the detachment rules. If you can't print it out at home, maybe your work has a printer or something like that, I don't know. If you don't work, maybe your parents' work has a printer, maybe your friend, I mean... Yeah. £25 just to me was a step too far, I felt like. Alright, here's the $1 million question then. You have a apothecary, a firstborn apothecary, and he is part of the command squad. Does he get a golden helmet? Because everybody else in the command squad at the moment has a golden helmet. Right, the last cannon guy, the chapter master, they all have golden helmets. Does the and I guess Tycho's got his golden face mask. Does the apothecary get a golden helmet? I genuinely have no idea. What's the consensus? What do people think? Jim says he isn't a first company veteran. Greetings, Highland Phoenix, how are you? The apothecary has a white helmet. Well, I've painted it bloody red. I mean, this model is ancient. This model actually didn't have an arm on it. I just attached this chainsword arm like yesterday. The app is a bit crap for selecting and deselecting weapon options. Yes, I think the most annoying thing about the app for selecting and deselecting weapon options, Highland Phoenix, is it doesn't tell you what's wrong. It just says like, there's a problem with your Desolator squad, and you're like looking at it going, you know, where's the problem? What's wrong with them? Like, you don't know where to start, I guess, when you're looking for the problem. It's just like, there's a problem. It's like, could it be that there's like, you know, and also it doesn't limit you. So if you want to add like 99 chainswords to a unit, it's gonna let you click, like you've got a unit of 5 guys and you're able to add 99 chainswords. Which obviously it should just cap that at like, hey, you've got 5 guys in the unit, you can only have 5 melee weapons. That would help to begin with, because if you're ever changing your unit from 5 to 10, you can end up with it messed up because of that. But yeah, I don't like in the app how it just says like, there's a problem with this unit, but it doesn't give you any more detail. Like, what's the problem? You know, like, hey, there's one too many, because it must know, right? Like, it must know what the problem is, because otherwise how could it tell you there's a problem? So on the back end, it basically just doesn't throw an error message. It needs to throw an error message. I think this yellow paint needed shaked a lot more. It's been sat for a long time. I'll let it dry and I'll shake it a lot more before I try and put on a second coat. The GW have them with the golden one, so I'd go golden. Where are you seeing, Kanga, that the GW have them with the golden one? I hate painting white, I think. Use a helmetless head. You know what? This guy here is an old metal model who had a helmetless head, and I snipped it off with my tweezers that everyone tells me not to use on metal. I just used them on the old ass lead model. Look underneath the helmet, you can see all this gunk. I mean, that helmet's not on there very well. The neck underneath was a mess because this is a metal model. This is a one-piece metal model. And I just snipped the head off. I damaged the shoulder pad a bit when I was doing it. And then, like, it's kind of janky at the back. You can kind of, I don't know if you can see in between there, but, like, the backpack's, like, hiding the fact that, like, I'm monstrous. I created a monstrosity. I hate painting faces. They never go well for me. So I'm just like, screw it. I'm not painting them. I don't care that it'll damage my... It didn't actually damage these clippers. That's the thing with these clippers. I guess tools that were made 20 years ago were made to last. Well, these were actually probably made like 30 years ago. So yeah, they're made to last. These are nasty ass clippers. They probably cost about $3 back in like early 90s or something. Buzz says I got 99 chain swords, but just one problem. Yeah, just one problem. That doesn't tell you what the problem is. Do Blood Angels even have normal apothecaries? I mean, we do because we're Codex compliant, so you can run Primaris apothecaries, etc. And I mean, I guess there's no Primaris Sanguinary Priest. And you're talking probably in terms of lore. I don't know if we have regular apothecaries in terms of lore. I feel like we must, because they must have to recover gene seeds and stuff. But they probably were, like, if they're in a book, they're probably always referenced as the Sanguinary Priest, right? Like, they would never be referenced as an apothecary. But I don't know, I'm not the biggest person on figuring out all that lore. Like, what I figure out is how to, well, I feel like, I was going to say, what I try and figure out is how to win games, but apparently I haven't won a game yet in 10th edition, so maybe I don't figure out anything, huh? I'm looking forward to fighting somebody I can actually beat in 10th edition. Chris says, do you think there's an option to combat squad in the same step as declaring leaders? There's no such thing as combat squad anymore, Chris. It's gone. None of it used to be on the data sheets. It used to specifically say, like, combat squad. There's nothing, like, unless there's a typo, I don't believe anyone there. I don't believe there's combat squads anymore. Not for any unit. So does that make you change your question? Probably, because it's not valid. I was going to say, I have the 2nd edition codex. I think I have the 4th edition codex. I might have the 5th edition codex. I wonder if any of those old codexes have a Blood Angels command squad in it. Maybe I'll check once I've painted these belts. Yeah, combat squatting was cool. I mean, I guess they just felt like they didn't need it anymore. I think it was probably to do with the like them removing a bunch of the restrictions on the way armies composition is done, right? So like they had to, I guess because there's much less restrictions on unit composition, that it just made more sense to just get rid of it, I guess. You were a single 4-up roll away from beating Colin's demons, which is about as close as you can come. without drawing. How was that? I was only a single 4-up away from beating his demons. Was it as close as that? I know that I hit his Great Unclean One with the Gladiator Lancer and like wounded it like 6 times. DTM, and that's my that's my best weapon in terms of damage. You know, it was like D6 plus 3. So like, of all the saves he fails on the Greater Demon, of course he doesn't fail any against the potential 9 damage weapon. I think I hit and wounded him 6 times with that weapon, because he had 2 Great Unclean Ones. So I think I hit both of them, like, you know, I hit the first one, let's say 4 times, and I hit the second one twice, and it was like, if one of those sneaks through, I'm allowed to re-roll the damage roll as well, so you would hope that I would get a reasonably decent damage roll, and I was like, man, if one of these goes through, his Great Unclean One's going to be in a world of hurt. But of course that's the ones where he saves them all. I think as well, I probably learned a lot from that battle against the demons. I feel like Beasts of Nurgle, because I charged the Beasts of Nurgle early on with like a weakened unit, and they did nothing. And I was thinking in hindsight, I was like, yeah, I knew that the unit was weak, and I knew that Beasts of Nurgle are a nightmare, that if you don't drop them all the way down, they just regenerate. So I was like, yeah, in hindsight, I should have never charged the Beasts of Nurgle with my weakened unit, because essentially by charging them with the weakened unit, the unit died and didn't kill a Beast of Nurgle, so it was completely pointless. I could have just sacrificed. Those guys could have easily made it into the Great Unclean One, because he arrived 9 inches away, right, and they failed their deep strike charge. So both Great Unclean Ones were 9 inches away. Those guys had jump packs, so they could have just jumped in. So I think in hindsight, I should have said, like, yes, they're probably going to die, but let's just throw them in on the Great Unclean One and do whatever damage we can do, right? And then that would have probably brought down like a Great Unclean One like a turn earlier, which might have made a big difference in the game, I felt like. Use your old Emperor's champion as a company champion. I'm using a Forge World model as my company champion. Dissonance Cogs is here to hang out and play. Let me try that again. I've struggled to say your name, actually. I'm not the greatest at English. Dissonance Cogs. Interesting name. I don't even know what dissonance means. But anyway, he's here to just hang out and paint his Black Legion. I'm not sure I'm happy about this. I mean, everybody in this room, when we hear about Black Legion, we sort of start frothing at the mouth and start saying Horus, right? But no, welcome, dude. Thanks for hanging out. How are you? Addy says, I have 100 points left in a 2k list. Captain in Terminator armor with Terminator Assault Squad, is that the way to go? I mean, the Captain helps them. What does the Captain do again? Does he let them reroll charges, actually? If he rerolls charges and lets you use a stratagem for 0 CP, then the Captain isn't a bad choice, I think, right? Because I think the way to get Terminators in is probably through Rapid Ingress, which is going to cost you CP unless you use the Captain. There might be some weird caveat in that, but if there is, I don't know about it, in that, like, so the Captain would make your, so you pay Rapid Ingress for 1 CP, or would Would you be able to use Rapid Ingress for free because the captain's attached, even though they're technically off the board at that point? I actually don't know what the caveat would be for that. You gotta paint the villains of the story too? Fair enough. I miss the fact that we had a stratagem that used to let us get like full hits and wound rerolls against Black Legion. Obviously we don't have that in 10th edition. It didn't come up all that often in 9th, but when it came up it was pretty cool to be like, oh, we're fighting Black Legion, let's just reroll everything because we bloody hate them. They killed our Primarch. Reminds me of the Princess Diaries. You killed our Primarch, prepare to die. The Terminator Chaplain is strong as well, yeah. Not too many people are going to have that Chaplain model, though. I guess that's the problem, Highland, right? Because the Chaplain model is like a limited edition model that not everybody has, or... Like, I don't think... You can't just go onto Games Workshop's website and buy a Terminator Chaplain, I think. Unless they've recently released one, or if there's one made to order, but I thought the Chaplain and Terminator armor was like a limited edition made to order that they did like probably like 18 to 24 months ago. I feel like it was somewhere in the middle of 9th edition there was that Chaplain that was like limited edition. I don't think they sell one. Or if they do, I'm kind of convinced they don't sell it, to be honest. You have the metal one? Then you are the champion of the world, Grezio. I don't have the metal one, I got the limited edition plastic one from a few years back. The Princess Bride, yes, sorry, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. That's the thing about getting old, man, is like you don't realise like how long it actually has been since you've seen a movie, because I said to my wife just maybe a few weeks ago, we recently got like we got a free trial to Paramount Plus, and we were trying to watch some of the new Star Trek shows. I'm not a huge fan of Star Trek Discovery. We've watched like 3 seasons of it, but I honestly couldn't even tell you the name of like a single crew person on the bridge outside, like Michael Burnham, I guess. So like we were trying to watch Star Trek Discovery, I kept falling asleep, and I was like, I don't even know why we're watching this. I don't even know if it's good. If you like Discovery, more power to you. I haven't managed to get into it. So we went back and watched Wrath of Khan, like the original Wrath of Khan, 1983, 1984, I think maybe even 1982 Wrath of Khan. I don't know what year it came out. But I remember watching Wrath of Khan, let's say when I was like 8, because it gave me memories, those, gave me like nightmares, sorry, not memories. It gave me nightmares, those like ear slug things in the Wrath of Khan. Like proper nightmares, like couldn't sleep. So I hadn't seen Wrath of Khan in like 30 some years. So we were like watching it. And like when you watch something that you've not seen in 30 years, you remember it. But I was like, man, I've not seen this movie in so long. Do you need me to go and get my Terminator with the Primaris head? Because I can get him. It sounds like you want to see him. Jurassic Park is 30 years old, says Dissonance Cogs. You know what? I saw Jurassic Park in the cinema, man. It's funny, we're getting to a point where, like, I'm so old that, like, yeah. Man, I remember what cinema it was and everything. I find that weird that you can remember that stuff, like, so many years on, clear as day. The soundtrack from Wrath of Khan is so good. I really enjoyed Wrath of Khan, actually. I think we also watched the original motion picture, and Wrath of Khan is like the way better movie. The earwigs, yeah. The special effects for the earwigs have not held up, by the way. It looks so fake now. It looks plastic as all hell, by the way. I mean, that's a spoiler, but let's face it, it was in the cinema in '84, so if you've not seen it by now, then I guess I just spoiled it for you. Was it '84? Fuck me, so it's like 40 years old next year, man. Can you imagine when like Avengers Endgame is 40 years old, right? So like I have only seen Avengers Endgame in the cinema. Like I haven't seen it again since it was in the cinema. There's quite a lot of those Marvel movies. Like I'm not a huge comic book person, but my wife likes all the comic book movies, so I've like seen them all, and I guess over time I've got more and more into them. Like I've actually wanted to watch the last few. Like I wanted to see Ant-Man, Quantumania, and I wanted to see the Doctor Strange movie. So like, can you imagine, like 40 years from now, let's say you never watch Avengers Endgame again. Can you imagine what the world's going to be like 40 years from now? And someone will say like, have you seen Endgame? You'll be like, oh yeah, I saw Endgame in the cinema, but you haven't seen it again since then? I mean, that's what it's like. It's madness. I don't know, that's like, to me now that feels challenge accepted. Like I liked Endgame, but don't watch it again for like 40 years. The good thing about that though is, here's a thought. If you don't watch it again for 40 years, then when you watch it 40 years from now, so when you watch Endgame in 2063, is that gonna right? Yeah, 2063, you'll enjoy it because it'll be so long that you'll feel like it'll be so long you'll know you've seen it, and you'll sort of remember like, oh yeah, they killed Thanos. Oh, I guess that's a spoiler as well if you didn't know Thanos was dead. But you haven't seen it in like 40 years, so it'll kind of be like seeing it again for the first time. Right? That's my thought. I don't know why we're on random not watching movies in 40 years, but that's where we are right now. I do like the Orville Resil, I must admit. I haven't watched all of it, but I have watched like half of the first season. I did like that quite a lot. Sang saw Empire Strikes Back at the movie theater. Empire Strikes Back is my all-time favorite movie, Sang. It's hard for me to pick. There's a lot of movies from my childhood. I really like Terminator 2. I really like Aliens, or Alien 2, I guess. Technically, it's just called Aliens, right? And I really like Empire Strikes Back. They're like my 3 favorite movies, I think. And it's funny because they're all sequels. And normally people say sequels are crap. Well, Terminator 2, Aliens, and Empire Strikes Back, none of them are crap, right? I feel like they don't make sequels as good as they used to. Hot take. I'm supposed to be playing Andrew next week. He's supposed to be back from his hiatus of 40k. He was kind of done with 9th edition. He's coming back for 10th edition. So I'm supposed to play Andrew on the channel next week. I think he's going to bring Imperial Guard. He's probably going to bring something that he thinks is overpowered and broken. Because that's how Andrew likes to roll in 40k. So I've got this game against Knights on Wednesday night I'll need to figure out, and then I've got Andrew next week. I guess I'll have to figure that out. I'd really like to beat Andrew. Brutal. I'm brutal with the spoilers tonight. Yeah, I mean, if you haven't been to the movie theater since the 80s, I've just ruined your life, kinda. Pollock says 40 years from now I'll be watching all the Sile above me. No, you need to put it in your diary, man. Just set a reminder now for 2063 to watch Endgame. And in whatever, I mean, if you're on like a cloud device, in like 50 years time, your cloud device will like pop up with like your reminder to watch Endgame. You'll be like, shit, I remember that stream from 40 years ago. We said we were going to watch Endgame. It'll be 1,000 points of indirect. It'll probably be more, actually. It's not like Andrew does things by half measures, right, DTM? Playing broken lists is so boring. So what's funny about that, Michael, is Andrew, when they first brought out that orc buggy spam, Andrew was determined to use that orc buggy spam. You know, when you could run like, was it like 9 Rucka trucks, and you could get, I don't know, it was like 1 billion strength 5 minus 2 damage shots. It was like 1 billion. It was so obnoxious. So Andrew was determined to run this to a tournament. And what's funny is, like, I went to a tournament, while Rucka truck spam, I guess, was a thing, and I came up against an orc player that was basically running like all these Rucka trucks. Oh, that's my daughter. I'll be right back. One sec. She rolled out of bed, she's fine. You know, I came up against an orc player that was determined to run or he was running Rucka truck and scrap jets, absolute spam. Like, I want to say the list was like 9 scrap jets. No, 8 scrap jets and 9 Rucka trucks. But I played Andrew a bunch, so I knew like exactly what to expect, and I threw a ton of my army into deep strike. Because I was like, I know if I deploy on the table, I'm just going to get indirect peppered off the board. And I had to like make like, I want to say like a 9-inch charge or something with like well, I guess it would have been an 8-inch charge with a squad of Terminators. And I know 8-inch charges suck, and I hate doing them at tournaments, but I was like, I feel like it's the only way I win this game. And I made the 8-inch charge, and my Terminator, and I think I used Fury of the First with the Terminators to get like the +1 to hit on the chain fists. And I think the chain fists obviously like wound on 2s into Rucka trucks, and I don't think they would get a save or something because they were like -4. So I just like destroyed like a whole squad of them, and I managed to get a consolidation into the other squad. And it was just such a huge play, and it was like I would have 100% lost that game if Andrew hadn't brought like his, I don't know, his, I guess his like broken or his cheese list or whatever you want to call it. Like Michael just said, it's like a broken list. Well, it was very powerful, and I guess the rules were borderline broken, but it actually really benefited me that Andrew brought that list to like. He wanted to go to a tournament and he wanted to take it, and it meant that at the tournament I won a game that, like, I would have never expected how much damage those Rucka trucks do. I would have lined my units up on the table and I would have lost in turn 1, because he can call his wagon turn 1, and it was honestly like every rucker truck, and he's got 9 of them, gets like 2d6 strength 5 minus 2 damage or something. And I think he could have ignored cut. Maybe it was -3. Actually, I think it was -3 when he called his wag. It was super obnoxious. I don't know how it ever got past the GW balance team. I guess the same way Knights in Eldar got past them this edition, huh? Thoughts on multi-melter for the command squad if you were reserving it. So the reason I did think about multi-melters, Highland Phoenix. The reason that I'm not sure about multi-melters, right, is because if you do reserve the command squad, then you can't come in melter range because you've got to be more than 9 inches away. So at that point, you wouldn't get the benefit of the rapid fire from Tycho because your melters wouldn't be in half range. So they wouldn't be able. The melters wouldn't be able to rapid fire. I mean, I guess if you rapid ingress and then move up, that would be fine. Multi-melters could potentially be better. But if you're gonna librarian dreadnought the command squad, like try and basically yeet them forward, then I think las cannons are better. Highland Phoenix, if that makes sense. But that was my logic behind it, because I was thinking about making guys. I was actually half considering making some guys with grav guns as well, storm shields, grav guns, because then that would give you anti-infantry and anti-vehicle options. Mike says, any tips against playing against Grey Knights? So I haven't played Grey Knights in 10th edition. I guess there's a bunch of armies I haven't played yet in 10th edition, so like my 10th edition knowledge is not as good as it was for my 9th edition knowledge. I think the thing about Grey Knights is they used to do a lot of mortal wounds. I actually don't know if they do that much mortal wounds now. They probably do a lot of psychic attacks, I would imagine. So anything that you can pair with to get protection against psychic attacks is probably good. In some ways that might actually make Librarian Dreadnought good. Has anyone played Grey Knights? What does Lord Inquisitor Kyrus Draxus do? Two Scoops asks, GW as a balance team, question mark? I mean, I believe so. I guess we'll see how good their balance team is when the... I think there might be a points errata this week or next week, or... Like, I think there's a points errata coming soon, right? They'll teleport on you with a ton of psychic attacks. Yeah, so maybe against Grey Knights you want something that's going to give you a feel no pain or a save against psychic attacks. So arguably it could be Librarians. Like I said, the Librarian Dreadnought might be not half bad. You know, people were saying earlier in the stream the Chaplain with Terminator armor could be actually decent, I guess, because of the feel no pain. I maybe need to try the Chaplain with Terminator armor this week. I mean, Knights are obnoxiously hard hitting, so maybe running something like that can help me wither a storm for a turn or two might be a good idea. And I guess Terminators can run Chain Fists, which have anti-vehicle 3+, I think, which might actually be really useful against armor as well, like Knight armor, I guess. Has anyone beaten Knights? That's a question. Has anyone that's playing Blood Angels beaten Knights? They also did say that they were going to look at Fate Dice. Yes, Fate Dice are obnoxious at the moment. I think they'll change. I think they already said basically they'll change Fate Dice. You're going to run 3 Land Raiders to try and weather the storm? Land Raiders are more expensive than I had hoped, you know that? I mean, in some ways that's why I was like half looking at a repulsor. Because a repulsor is like 80 points cheaper. Yes, it's got one less armor save. But the repulsor might be quite good against knights as well, because you could put a bunch of eradicators inside. And eradicators can get like full hits and wounds, rerolls, and damage, I think, against armor. I think a real trick, and I guess you might have to also do this with the Librarian Dreadnought, would be to attach that new character to the Eradicators, the Apothecary Biologist. Give the Apothecary Biologist Bolter Discipline. So if you teleport your Eradicators up the board somewhere, and then you would basically have Eradicators with lethal hits, but exploding sustained hits on 5s. So like a squad of Eradicators would get what, like if it was 6 guys, you would get 4 shots with the melt rifles, 4 shots with multi-melta. So you would basically get 8 melta shots, but you got full hit rerolls, you know, on your non-oath a moment target. So full hit rerolls on a non-oath a moment target. 5s and 6s are bursting additional hits. And also 5s and 6s are auto wounds. And then you reroll all wounds, because that's the Eradicator special ability. And then potentially you reroll all damage as well. If you could get them in Melta range, that would be so good, but I guess Librarian Dreadnought's not going to be able to teleport them into Melta range. You'd have to have them in a transport, and that, unfortunately, it then comes down to you probably have to have them in a Land Raider, because a repulsor only carries 12, and you can't do a squad of 5 anymore, annoyingly. You're sort of trapped there where, like, you can't have the squad of 5, you would have to have a squad of... Sorry, you can't have a squad of 5, 6 plus a character inside a repulsor, because the repulsor has 1 too few capacity, so you're stuck with... Unless you pay for 6 and just a 5, which just I feel like is a real big feel bad moment, isn't it? The repulsor is not an assault vehicle, so you can't come out of it and charge. But I think you can disembark and shoot, right? It's not something that I've done all that often, I guess. Right? Like I don't typically run. I don't really run transports with guys inside them. Why are these Black Templars red? Says Ross. I mean, I'm not playing Black Templars at the moment. I get Black Templars are really good, Ross. I think that the fact that the whole army of the Black Templars can have a 6-up feel no pain, and there's multiple ways you can improve it to 5-up is super dope. Have I heard the rumours about new Blood Angels models, says C. You know what? Last year there were so many rumours, C, about new Blood Angels models. None of it has come true. It feels like there's new rumours every couple of months, honestly. I don't know how serious I am at keeping up on the... Like, I made a video about rumours last year, and then, like, the day after I made it, it was sort of confirmed that the rumours were just bullshit. It's like some guy on Reddit just posting something. So, I don't know. I mean, there's constant rumours. New Marines, especially with that new game coming out with the captain that's got the jump pack, the Primaris captain with the jump pack. You already see it in the video game, Space Marine 2 or whatever it's called. So, I mean, there's rumours all the time. I don't know. I feel like until it's concrete, I don't know what. Like, until I see like a data sheet or an actual picture of the model, it's cool. It's cool to be excited about rumours. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if there's new jump units, I'll be all over them. But I just don't know if I don't know how deep I'm reading into rumours at the moment. Google says a golden helmet. on the apothecary for the command squad, says Pedro. So I should just make it gold. If you want them, you could rapid ingress them to 9.1. Yeah, I mean, that would be the way to do it, DTM, I guess. I don't think eradicators need to be within half range to do good damage. No, I mean, when you reroll all their wounds... Sorry, when you reroll all their damage rolls, probably not. But, I mean, it helps, right? I can't remember the last time I painted a las cannon. What colour do people paint these coils here? They paint them green, or some people paint them green, some people paint them blue. I don't have a clue. Honestly, I don't have a clue. Two repulsor executioners with 2 squads of eradicators. I guess though, John, if you attach the character, I feel like it's the character that makes the eradicators really good. The Brutalis Dreadnought and the Dante rumours were true. Yeah, that's true, I suppose. There was another huge rumour, though. Like, I did a video on, like, a rumour where there was going to be, like, new... Well, here's the thing. That Battle of Oghram, I don't know how you pronounce it. That Battle of Ogshram is out right now, and whoever wins it is apparently getting the next set of reveals. So there could very well be a bunch of reveals for Marines that are jump units. And for once, I'm trying not to get hyped about it, because I feel like we've been let down a bunch of times before with those jump units, but maybe this is the time. Edward Nigma, how are you? Good evening. Chuck's painted those bits brass in the past. He thinks there's some sort of charging coil. Yeah, I'd assume there'd be some sort of coil for... Do you know what? I think I've painted mine brass on a couple of my Forge World tanks. Chuck, thank you for that. That just has tweaked my memory. I appreciate it. Maybe I just don't have that many brain cells still firing at 11:30 on a Sunday night. It has been a long time since I painted a las cannon, so like I think it must be like 5 years on it, because I don't run Devastators, and I only have a couple of tanks with las cannons. And like, let's be fair, no one really. Do you know what? I think I had las cannons in 8th edition on Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts. I think that's probably the last time I painted some las cannons, was like 8th edition Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts, when you could get the, you know, before the Volkite cannons came in and were all the rage. People ran Relic Contemptors with double las cannon. So that was probably the last time I painted a las cannon. So yeah, at that point it's probably like 5 years since I painted a las cannon. Okay, thank you. Who would have known that I would be getting a las cannon Storm Shield guy ready in 10th edition? I didn't even know we were going to get many firstborn options. I didn't know we were going to get some crazy ones like this. Nathan painted some copper. Rumors there's a new chaplain, like a chaplain with a jump pack, or a chaplain with on foot. I don't think we need another chaplain on foot, do we? We already got the like. If it's just like a chaplain with a different gun, man, it seems pointless. Like, it has to be a jump pack. What's the sauce? I take it you mean, why am I painting a firstborn with a las cannon? Is that the question, Mike? There's a few really weird combos at the moment, and one of the combos that's very weird is the Firstborn Command Squad, and that's what this guy's part of. Am I the only person doing a command squad? Is no one else interested in command squads? Everybody else thinks it's going to be. If everybody else thinks it's going to be nerfed and no one's going to do it, that's probably good for me, because then I won't waste my time painting it only to see it nerfed. It's good because Tycho can attach to them, and Tycho's rules are very strange at the moment in that he can make any squad that he's with rapid fire 1, which means my las cannons become rapid fire. Also, the guys that have the las cannons can take storm shields. So I've got las cannons with storm shields and rapid fire, and the command squad has a apothecary in it, so I can resurrect a model every turn. So I'll resurrect a model every turn, probably a storm shield las cannon guy. Because I have a banner bearer, this guy, in the command squad, then everyone in the command squad is OC2. The two guys with las cannons who have storm shields. This guy also has a storm shield. I need to find a storm shield for him. The company. So I've got 3 storm shields. Everybody in the command squad is also 3 wounds. For whatever reason. I don't really know. And then, yeah, so the other 3 characters. So basically the guys that don't have las cannons, they can all have infernal pistols. And like, Blood Angels can fall back and shoot and charge now. So I can fall back, then I can shoot all my rapid fire infernal pistols from 1 inch away. So I mean, that gives me like 6 infernal pistols, plus 4 las cannons, plus Tycho's weapon is stupid against enemy infantry. If you shoot at enemy infantry on every 4 up to wound, and he's going to get 3 shots at half range because of his rapid fire. Every 4 up to wound on enemy infantry from Tycho is 4 mortal wounds. Antonius is doing a command squad. Highland Phoenix is doing a command squad. Yes. Kanga is doing a command squad. Alright, command squads of the world unite. I love it. Okay, so I'm not the only one that just was like, that command squad. Has any of you guys played the command squad yet? Because I played it last week, and it was pretty fun. I think I did 8 mortal wounds with Tycho's gun in 1 round of shooting against infantry, which was also pretty fun. I mean, it was probably a little bit broken, I guess, but I mean, that's the rules, right? Where's my Gravis Chaplain? I don't know if I'm sold in the command squad, but looking forward to the stream proving me wrong. I think the way to play the command squad, John, will just be to bring it in. I have a drop pod still in the box behind me, and I was kind of thinking like maybe I need the command squad in a drop pod. Command squad plus Tycho, and then there'd only be 4 spots left in the drop pod after that, so I could do like 3 Blade Guard. But I was thinking to myself, like, if I'm not going to run the drop pod, then I think I just want to use the Librarian Dreadnought in turn 1 to throw the command squad forward to a position where I get Tycho within... Well, he needs to be within 12 inches of enemy infantry. If there's a position that I can put Tycho within 12 inches of enemy infantry, and I give the target that I want to kill, that squad of enemy infantry, that Oath of Moment rerolls, then it's a pretty high chance I feel like Tycho's going to do like 8 to 12 mortal wounds on that squad. So Tycho does 8 to 12 mortal wounds on the squad of infantry, and then I have my 2 rapid fire las cannons either into that squad of infantry as well. I mean, rapid fire las cannon is going to kill infantry too, right? Or I can put the rapid fire las cannons into another threat, and then I'm going to try and charge, because I'm Blood Angels and we like to charge. And if I guess Tycho's actually not bad in combat. The chapter champion actually gives me +1 to my charge roll as well. so I still get my 8-inch charge. And if we get into combat, and the chapter champion his sword has precision, so if I manage to charge a squad or a character, like I can direct my attacks at him. That's cool as well. I don't know, the command squad they seem like they have a lot of weird utility. They're probably not going to be the best squad to play in against knights. But, you know what, I'm happy to, like, I'm going to play Miles Knights on Wednesday night, and worst case I'll learn something, you know? Ross says, how do I feel about new Terminators? I kind of feel like I want to run Terminators. But I think if I want to run Terminators, I think that I want to attach the Terminator Chaplain to them. Because I mean, the Terminator Captain seems pretty good. Yeah, I need someone from chat to tell me the ruling. So, Rapid Ingress lets me spend 1 CP to bring in a unit in the opponent's turn. If I do that on a Terminator squad with a Terminator Captain, am I allowed to do it for free because the Captain's part of the squad? Or am I not allowed to do it for free because the Captain isn't on the board at that point, so technically it's not valid? Like, I don't know, I don't exactly know how that works, that free stratagem for the Captain, but does he have to be on the board? Does anyone know? 165 points, you boys are off your head. I mean, it's 165 points for 15 wounds, 3 of the guys have storm shields, 3 infernal pistols, 2 las cannons, +1 to advance and charge. They're all OC2. We can revive 1 guy every turn for free, and Tycho will make them rapid fire. Well, Tycho can make them rapid fire, or he can make them assault. So, I mean, if I need to move around, like, let's say they do come in and kill the 1 squad that I need them to do, and then I need them somewhere else on the battlefield, I can make my las cannons assault, so I can advance and shoot my las cannons. I don't know. Maybe they're crap, John. Maybe they're crap, but, I mean, if you're fighting enemy infantry, they're really good against enemy infantry. Lee says I'd have to pay the stratagem because he wouldn't be on the board. I kind of felt that might be the case, Lee. Thanks for saying that. I feel like you've been painting long enough to attempt a shadow, a 2-tone red, anything but just slapping Unicoat colours. All I'm doing at the moment, David, is base coating these guys. I mean, like, this is literally the most basic base coats that I'm doing at the moment. Like, I'm nowhere near. Like, I would put base coats on the entire model before I do any shading, any washes, anything like that, any edge highlighting. Like, I just put my base coats first. The reason I do this, I guess, is because I want to have 3 coats on the model so I can play with it. I can take it to a tournament if I need to. I've got so many models that are just base coated. Plus, I actually find it kind of hard to read chat and paint finer detail. Like when I was doing the edge highlighting on the Death Company, it takes me so long to try and read what everyone's saying and paint as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm not even. I probably, like, I'm a slow painter, so I probably, like, a default infantryman like this, I'd put about 8 to 10 hours into them. So, like, the first couple hours I'm doing nothing but just getting the base colours on there. Maybe even longer than the first couple hours, I guess. But I'm jumping from model to model to model because I just want these guys to have 3 colours on them to be acceptable, to be shown on my stream. And or if I want to take them to an event, they would have like 3 colours on them and they'd be acceptable. I can pull up a couple of pictures of like my finished stuff if you want to see it, because I just took let me throw this up for you. I just took a few pictures the other day for like my channel trailer, my 2021 channel trailer. Just have to remember what hard drive these are on. Yeah, like let me I turn this off. How do I turn my screen on again? 1 second. Primary monitor. That should be it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you can see what I see when I'm streaming normally, which is just all you guys' chat. So this is like what I've got painted at the moment. And these guys are a little bit like, they have a few more colors on them, or a few more, edge highlights here and there and stuff like that. So this is like more finished. Some of the lighting in these pictures is not very good as well, I guess. But I mean, I'm not a good photographer, I wouldn't say. So I do a bit more than just one tone red, I guess. It just takes me forever. So I'm the first to admit I'm like the slowest painter known to man. I don't know why I'm so slow. I just am. So sorry, I guess. I never see you attempt anything like Zenithal or a light source. I guess probably I don't. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't. People are either nice to me at tournaments, or my finished ones might just look okay, because there's a couple of times people have said to me at tournaments, like, hey, you should enter your army in best painted, and I always just like, don't. I'm just like, no, I'm not here to compete for best painted. I feel like my painting is battle ready at best, but you know, people in this hobby are generally pretty nice, so maybe people are. I'm never sure, David. I'm never sure if they're just being nice to me, because I am always nice to other people about their paint jobs. But yeah, no, I'm a battle ready sort of painter. Do we use varnish? Yeah. Everything that you saw in those pictures is varnished. I varnished the whole lot of it because I always sort of joke that, like, you know, you carry around like a £700-800 mobile phone every day and you never drop it, but then you pick up your £5 Warhammer model that you spent hundreds of hours on, and then like I always end up dropping them. So yeah, I varnish the lot of them, just because I guess I always end up dropping my model. I don't know why. It's like I don't drop anything else in my life. Like I never drop a plate at dinner time. I never drop a spoon or anything like that. But hey, do I manage to drop a £5 miniature that I spent 10 hours painting and managed to chip the paint? Hell yeah, I managed to drop that. So yeah, I guess that's the way the world goes, huh? So yeah, everything's varnished. I just use the Citadel varnish. I did, when I first went to start varnishing my models, I bought a can of the Citadel varnish and I bought a can of the Army Painter varnish. And the Army Painter varnish honestly made the red look more pink than the Citadel one. I mean, I don't think the Citadel one discolors the red that I use, but the Army Painter one definitely discolored the red. Yeah. I never drop a model, but my phone spends more time on the ground than my pocket. Fair enough. Yeah, so I guess, like, if you're looking for, I mean, there's so many people doing painting videos on Instagram and stuff, David. I don't have the time to I could probably be a better painter, but then I'd have to probably give up, like, making so many YouTube videos and stuff like that, and I guess it's a sacrifice I'm not really willing to make. I feel like the people that paint professionally on, like, Instagram and that are, like, so far ahead of me, I'm not even going to try and compete, I guess. Yeah. I like to roll dice and have fun. I like to paint because it makes me relax, but yeah, I'm definitely not... I'm nothing special when it comes to painting. I do occasionally like I've got a couple of Forge World models, and hey, you know what? I was actually really proud of my Terrax. That's one of the models that I finished recently, my Terrax Siege Drill. Let me show you my Terrax, and then you can decide on my battle ready. Where was my Terrax? I'm trying to think where did I put it? I think I actually put it away because they made it that Forge World models can't be played anymore, right? This box feels too light to have a Terrax drill inside it. Oh no, it does have a Terrax drill inside it. Okay. You know, I actually put it like way high up on the shelf in a Forge World box because it's like, why am I going to even need this box anymore? That's about as useful as this box is now because I can't play my damn Forge World models anymore. This was my Terrax. I finished this recently. And it probably doesn't. It probably could use a few more colors here and there. But I was really pleased with it. I even put transfers in the bottom of it. And now it will sit in a box. I mean, it's just going to sit in a box because I can't play my Terrax anymore. I actually don't know if I got to play it at a tournament with the finished paint job. That's a little bit sad. It's the cleanest earth mover I've ever seen, says Rest. Thanks, dude. I always go for a clean, like, I guess that's what my color scheme is. Simple but clean. I thought, look, I was ready to play it in 9th edition or 10th edition. I was excited to play it. Oh well. Mike says it's a weird question. I stream painting on TikTok. How do you make the music turn down when you talk? I don't think the music turns down when I talk, Mike. I think I've just got the music quiet, and maybe when I'm not, like, I just have the music a lot quieter. I don't think it turns down when I talk. If it does, it's doing it. It's not something I do. I use OBS Studio. That's about all I can tell you. Forge World transfer, yeah. I had about £1,000 worth of models wiped off my army because of the Forge World change. I was actually kind of depressed for a couple of days, John. I was like walking around my house. My wife was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not okay." She's like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because they've made a bunch of the models that I spent hundreds of hours on. Bear in mind, I have limited time because I get 2 kids that need all my time 24/7. They made a bunch of my models that I can't play them anymore." And my wife was like, "Why'd they do that?" And I was like, they said it's because it's balanced, but I don't buy it, because if you look at a Leviathan, it's basically the exact same rules as a Redemptor, so just make it the same damn points. But my wife said, like, "So what happens when a kid got one of those models for Christmas?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I guess the kid doesn't get to play his model anymore because you're not allowed to." Like, I don't know. I'm never going to be okay with the Forge World changes. My Forge World stuff is going to sit in a box. I'm never going to play Horus Heresy. I'm never going to have time to play Horus Heresy, so I can't even finish my 40k stuff. It just honestly put me off buying more stuff from Forge World. Because, like, I did want an Astraeus tank. Like, I had no time scale on when I was going to buy it, or when, you know, when that would actually happen. But I did want one. I did play in Astraeus. Like, Andrew let me borrow his Astraeus, and I ran it to a tournament in 9th edition. That might actually be the... was going to say, that might actually be the one that I've got the medal for back there. I've got the. I can't remember if I finished top place with. I can't remember which RTT I finished third in. Maybe it was the one where I ran the Astraeus, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I mean, I ran an Astraeus to a tournament in 9th edition. I thought it was quite fun. No one really had a problem with it, or the balance with it. What's annoyed me more is that I actually bought the falchion, and I painted the falchion, and it's like the centerpiece to my army. Spent ages on it, and I never got to run it at a tournament. If I'd known it was going to get made that you couldn't run it anymore, I would have run it over the Astraeus, because like I said, I had to borrow the Astraeus. I just thought the Astraeus had a slightly better rule set. The falchion's quite a one-dimensional tank. Like, it kills armor, but that's really all it does. But I really wish I'd known that it was going to get. I'd have loved to been allowed to run it at a tournament, I guess. Just for fun. Like, it was never going to win the tournament, but it would have been a lot of fun. I mean, I never really thought the Astraeus was going to win the tournament, but felt like it had a better chance to do well than the falchion. I think I ran that when Blood Angels had the lowest win rate that they had in 9th edition, because there was a period before Armour of Contempt came out where we were really struggling. And I think that's when I ran the super heavy tank. Hey Crispy Delicious, how are you? Michael says he's played 3 games of Terns today, sadly lost to Death Guard, Votan and Chaos Knights, but learnt loads. Highlight was Dante killing Typhus using Epic Challenge. Oh really, I haven't used the Epic Challenge strat yet. Alright, cool. You had some fun with that then. I feel like I've learned in all 3 games that I've lost, but I still don't feel like I know how to make a great Blood Angels list. Probably going to try something. Well, I'm going to have to try something against Knights on Wednesday. But I don't really want to build a tailored list. I'd rather like try and make just a normal list. I know that I'm fighting Knights, but I rarely tailor lists. I don't like tailoring lists unless it's like Andrew and I just want to mess with them. Then I'll tailor a list. I have an intense rivalry with Andrew where I will do anything I can to beat him. But every other time I make a list, I like to just make a list and not tailor it to try and beat a specific army. Alright, I got 5 minutes left. It's 5 to midnight. I got work, so I gotta be up at like 7 AM. So if anyone's got any last minute questions, shout them out. We'll aim to bring the Army List show back next Sunday night. I think that's the plan. So next Sunday night we'll bring back the Army List show. I know a bunch of people have already sent me lists that they're playing in 10th edition. I don't feel like I'm going to be an expert on any list at the moment, but I mean we can start going over lists as a community and saying what we like and what we dislike and figuring it out from there, right? I think that's the plan. And I think the final thing I'm going to paint tonight is this guy is going to have a gold helmet. A few people said he should have a gold helmet, so let's just do it. Let's prepare him for a coat of gold on his helmet. Is Tycho going in the drop pod? I mean, I don't have a drop pod made, so I'm probably going to Librarian Dreadnought him. The cool thing I think the Librarian Dreadnought. I mean, it's not going to be great against Knights, but hey, you never know. I could roll some hot 6s with Tycho's Melta and maybe do 8 mortal wounds or something. Take out. Maybe we'll go after an Armiger. I think that might be the plan. Try and take out an Armiger T1 with Tycho if we get a good if we get a 2 up on the Librarian Dreadnought relocate or whatever it's called. I think it's just called Wings of Sanguinius, isn't it? I found using drop pods to limit knights' movement and keep them away from objectives works well. Yeah, I mean, and you could also just drop a drop pod onto one of the objectives to try and screen them, yeah. Repulsor Executioner, worth it or no? I actually don't know how many points an Executioner is off the top of my head, Mike. Do you know? Can you tell me? I mean, we do need high toughness, anti-armor firepower. I feel like that is something that we do need. I've been running a Gladiator tank, a Gladiator Lancer. I think I ran that in my last 2 battle reports. I was thinking of probably trying another Lancer this week. Trying another Gladiator this week. Whether or not I go for the Lancer variant. Like, I don't think I would run a Reaper right now. But I think that I could totally run the... what's the other one? The Gladiator Valiant. I think that could be totally viable right now as well. If you're running some of the buffs, like the Storm Speeders buff, potentially like the Incursor shooting buff, then I think those things are actually pretty useful. I suppose the one thing to say is if you are running the Executioner, don't run the Plasma Cannon, because I don't think the Plasma Cannon has much life in it anymore. I feel like the Laser Destroyer will have. I think it's called a Heavy Laser or something like that, right? But yeah, I ran Redemptor Dreadnoughts with Plasma Cannons, and I felt they were super underwhelming. Especially at 225 points. Like, I don't know if Redemptors are viable at 225. Do you think there's much play in the new Lieutenant? No, I don't. You just wanted to loan... I suppose if you just want a lone operative and you want to stick him somewhere that they can't target him, maybe? I was expecting that new Lieutenant to be able to attach to something, though. I wasn't expecting him to be a lone operative. I don't know if we'll see many people run that new Lieutenant. Yeah, I don't know what his strength is. I mean, beyond the lone operative thing, like, he's not doing very much killing. So is he an action monkey? Yeah, I'm not sure about the new Lieutenant. It seems like a weird... Seems like quite a weird model. $230 for a Executioner. I mean, people are running Land Raiders at like quite a bit more than that, like 255 for a Land Raider, or like 295 I think for the Redeemer. So I suppose it depends on if you've got something really good to put inside the... I feel like you need to use its transport capacity. So like, what's going inside the Executioner? Like what's going to make it scary is my thought. Because if you're just using it for the guns, then you'd probably be better just taking a Gladiator Lancer for like 145, right? The cool thing about Lancer is it gets to reroll its one hit, one wound, and one damage roll. Turkey says, don't forget to like the stream where you get inducted into the Death Company. Yeah, thanks, Turkey. Yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out tonight. I know we don't normally hang out on Sundays, but yeah, I mean, I've just been trying to publish a bit more content because of the new 10th edition stuff, and I do have some playlists up on the channel with all the 10th edition videos already. So if you haven't been able to keep up, or you're just getting back into it, I have updated to have new playlists there with all the 10th edition videos, so they should all be watchable. Obviously there's more content to come. I'll keep churning out as soon as I can, or as often as I can, right? Yeah, so these guys I was going to say, do any of them not have 3 colours on them now? Technically, they all have 3 colours on them. Alright, so, I mean, they kind of suck. David in chat was, like, telling me that they kind of suck. I agree, they suck, David. Give me another, like, 20 hours and I promise you they won't suck. Oh, I didn't stick on the storm shield. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna put the storm shields on the last cannon, guys. It's kind of ridiculous. I think I might just blue tack them on, I guess. Because I don't know if that'll get FAQ'd. Did the Achilles pattern Land Raider go to Legends? Yes, everything went to Legends for Marines except the Astraeus and the Thunderhawk. That's the only 2 Forge World things I think that didn't go to Legends. And that sucks. It sucks, DTM. It totally sucks. I feel like a lot of people had Leviathan Dreadnoughts. Like, surely there was a few models they could have been like, yeah, loads of people have these. They don't need to go to Legends. You know, it's just a very all or nothing approach, it felt like. Alright, I really need to go to bed. It's 5 past. I usually go to bed a bit before this. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a good evening. I'll see you on Wednesday Night Live to probably get beaten by Miles' Knights again. And I'll have other content coming out this week. I was actually in the middle of like a couple other videos last week, so we'll see what time I've got. See how well the kids behave. Have a good night, folks. We'll see you soon. Peace. Yeah, I wish the drill didn't go to Legends either, Dromar. I guess fingers crossed some of the stuff eventually comes back. Who knows though, huh?
It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels.